Hello, hello, what's up? It's Doug Cunnington here. This is the live Q&A session on Fridays. So today's Friday. Happy Friday and welcome to the chat. It looks like a lot was going on. It looks like we have a lot of moderators, which is awesome because that helps keep everything in order as we get started. As normal, I'm going to mention some quick announcements. Hopefully they're quick. And feel free to ask questions. By the way, if you're watching the replay, thank you. Please leave a comment. And in fact, leave a question. If you have any questions, ask them in a comment. I'm trying to do a much better job, or any job at all, with looking at the comments and then putting them into the questions. In fact, most of the questions we're going to do today were left as comments on other videos, and I'll give you a shout out. All right. So you'll see how it goes in a second as the quick announcements go. And if people don't know me, by the way, some people may not know me at all. If you just hopped on, or if you're catching the replay or whatever. So I'm Doug Cunnington. I blog at Niche Site Project and do some videos here. I talk about Amazon affiliate marketing primarily, but also project management and productivity. I have a PMP and sort of a corporate background in project management. If you are just getting started with affiliate marketing, it's an exciting time. So I'm happy for you. I'm sure everyone else is too. And I recommend you take a look at the FAQ section. There's a link in the description. There's several thousand words, maybe a couple dozen questions in there. Again, they're common questions, and I'll probably point people towards them because they are more thorough than me just John here like I am. The other thing you should take a look at is the niche site process, also linked below. Kind of outlines like the full process. You can actually download that in a PDF for free. You just have to sign up for the email list. All right. A couple other things I'll point out. There are a few affiliate links in the description, which if you use the links and you purchase, I get a commission. I appreciate it if you do. You don't have to use them, but I'll mention a couple of the products as we go. Grammarly, and actually I'll mention a couple right now. Grammarly, that's a pretty good one. If you're interested in a theme, Rehub is actually recommended by the Amazon Associate Program. If you're looking for hosting, Siteground is the one to use. Their service is phenomenal. And lastly, SEMrush is my SEO tool of choice. So check it out if you haven't. The other sort of selfish announcement, actually this whole thing is pretty selfish. I mean, I talk about myself mostly the whole time. And if someone asks questions, I typically just relate it to myself. So it's all very self-centered. The announcement that I wanted to make is, if you haven't checked out the podcast that I do with my wife, it's called Survive the 9 to 5. And it's about, basically having to work a job. So I could speak more freely because I don't have a corporate job anymore. We try and give a balanced sort of perspective overall. But the reason why I'm telling you is the episode this week that we published this Monday is really funny. I did some really dumb stuff when I first started working. So there are some pretty silly stories for like when I first got a job, and just check it out. I get to the point really fast. So within like 5 minutes, I tell the story. So do check it out. There's a link in the description for Survive the 9 to 5, and you should be able to find it pretty easily if you Google it or look on a lot, but not all of the podcasting apps that are out there. So like I said, there's a lot of questions that were sent in, and the chat is kind of exploding over there, which is fantastic. If you're new, let me know in the chat. I'll try and give a shout out, but I kind of missed like the first 30 messages over here. So I'll do what I can. All right, so Marty's on, Adrian's on. Thanks. We also have Mark. Good to see you. Josh is there too. Lance, what's up? And a lot of, actually most everyone that's in blue is a student of 5-Figure Niche Site. So it's awesome. And thanks guys and for the support overall. Newman, what's up? I think I have a question from you in the description. So thanks for asking your questions. Let's see. Marcus, what's up? Agers, another student, welcome. And as we're going through, Clash of the Clans, all right. And I'm just trying to say hello to everyone. We have Dennis, We have Alwyn, usual suspects. I do try and say hi to everyone the best I can while this is going on. There's a lot to juggle here, and sometimes I get a little distracted. So thanks for the patience. All right, Thomas, we have Veet, we have family, Udit, Stephen. Okay. This is bananas. All right. Good job on the chat, everybody. I'm going to get to some of the questions that were sent in. Otherwise, it's just going to be way too much. So, first question. Bernardus says, is it important to comment on niche related sites, or can you comment on different topic blogs that are not related to your niche? Okay, so this is a deep question. And the prerequisite information that you need to know is that this is sort of a link building / networking exercise. So I recommend that people do blog commenting to start networking within their niche or related niches. Now, the big problem is if you just try and, let's say you're looking at ballpoint pens as my classic example. So your product and your focus is around ballpoint pens. If you just look for other sites that are talking about ballpoint pens, it's going to be really likely that it's just going to be competitors that you find. And they're probably not going to approve your comment, and they're just going to ignore you. So it'll be a waste of time. So what you should really look for is things that have maybe an overlap with the audience. So who might that be? For our example, that could be other people that are interested in writing utensils, which could be office workers or students or college students. You could slice and dice it a few different ways. Maybe it's something else, people that need to write underwater for some reason, divers. I have no idea, right? So as you start thinking about your own like footprints to look for, then you can figure out like overlaps of audiences where you'll be able to find slightly related topics that are not your direct competitors. Good question. Mark then asks, how much emphasis do you put on keyword difficulty when I do keyword research? I am mainly looking at the search volume to start the KGR, that's the keyword golden ratio process. But Mark has noticed when they use keyword tools, they give them a high keyword difficulty score. Although I don't think, this is Mark talking, I don't think you mentioned keyword difficulty as part of the keyword research process. Should I be concerned, especially when the KD is 60? Okay, so I don't put much stock in most of the keyword difficulty assessments by tools. The main reason is a lot of the older ones sucked really bad. So it was like good for a little while. Then once everyone starts using the same exact data that is built on estimates upon other estimates from other tools, it didn't work that well. So it was interesting at first. I think they're getting better. I don't know what specific tool Mark or others may be using, so I can't make a blanket statement. What I would recommend is you look with your eyes at the term that you found, and if it looks like you can't rank, then maybe you skip it. If it looks like the results on Google for that term answer the query for the searcher, and it's really high quality and they're really good sites, then maybe skip that one and find another one that looks like there's more room to play. So that's the main thing. And I would perhaps take the keyword difficulty as a way to prioritize how you're reviewing the keywords. Everything matters a little bit, but you need to make sure like the keyword difficulty score is relevant and accurate. I don't know what tool you're using, so I don't know. And you know what? To be honest with you, even if I knew what tool you were using, I don't know. I don't check them all, so I have no clue. I would say as you start observing the KGR score, look at the results, and then you see what happens after you publish it, and you also know the keyword difficulty on the tool that you're using, you'll have a better feel and intuition on whether that's going to work or not. So I'm going to get back to the chat. Otherwise, I'm just going to lose all control. All right. Someone says they think they need a solo course with Doug. That's true. I actually do some one-on-one coaching. So if you are interested, I'd actually need to mention this more. If you are interested, It's really good. I can record the session. You could watch it later. Out of the session, you get an action plan on what you need to do. There are several people in the chat that have done those sessions. Feel free to say what you thought of the sessions. Generally, people can get really good answers and analysis to their questions, much better than what I can do here. There's only so much I could do with limited data. Next, Agers. Oh, Agers, you need to reschedule your session since we had to change it up, you know. Okay, Josh says you're getting an average of 28 clicks to Amazon every day, but you only had one sale. Conversion rate sucks. No one's buying to Amazon. Could it be your products? No, it's your traffic. Josh, 28 clicks is not enough to like make an assessment. There could be other things in play. The cost of the product, if it's really expensive, people aren't going to buy as many, but 28 clicks to Amazon every day is really not that many. So you need a bigger sample size, more data. And Marty, dropping some knowledge, is saying that you see 50 clicks before you see a purchase. Yeah. And basically, thanks for mentioning that. I think generally you can assume about 1% is going to convert. So if you get 100 clicks over, you get one sale. It could be off by a factor of like, 50 to 400%. That could be way off, but that's a ballpark. So get like 3 to 4x more traffic, and then you'll be like making a sale probably once a day. And Marcel's on. What's up? It's been a while. That's right. Good to have you on. Ray, how's it going? Okay. And then Ager says, Authority Azon WP, what are my thoughts? Okay. Today you checked and you found that the tables are not responsive, and mobile traffic is about a lot of the traffic, the majority. Well, based on what you just said, I would say avoid it. And Agers, I think that's something that we were going to chat about as well. I think perhaps take a look at Rehub. I know I've heard really good things. I haven't used it personally yet, but I think I'm probably going to get into it pretty soon here and test it out. So it's actually Rehub. There's an affiliate link in the description if you want to check it out. The Amazon Associate Program actually lists Rehub as one of the recommended. There's another one recommended too. Otherwise, I would just say if there's a theme you already have, Agers, aside from that one, anything that's like responsive and generally you know how to use and you already own it, like stick with that. And Marty, you're the man. You already answered the question that I just did. So I need to, make sure if you've already done it, then okay. And next I see, I'm going to hide Alwyn. I'm going to kill your comment there. Let's not list anyone's sites in here. That's kind of bad taste and just, I view it as unprofessional. So I hid that. Even if you try and cover it up and stuff, like I'm going to probably hide it. So let's try to be respectful of, business owners and people that are trying to run their sites. Okay. Ray says you commented on the site and all of a sudden you have 5,000 backlinks. Should you be worried? No, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Basically, that means that they have a lot of duplicate content on their site. And probably this is what it is. They have a plugin or something in their sidebar, a widget that lists the most recent comments. And then they have maybe all their archives are indexed. And then all of a sudden, let's say they have a few hundred pages on their site. Your comment is probably listed on like every single instance of, the URL, every URL. So I wouldn't worry about it. Google can kind of understand that that is what's happening and it's not going to be a major issue. After more comments are left, then yours will get pushed down anyway. Success roller coaster, what's up? Adrian says, you feel like you're reaching a ceiling, what you could write about on your niche because the last 2 or 3 posts have been cannibalized. Any recommendations? I think I would So you're reaching the end of what you could write about. I maybe look to some competitors to see like other stuff that they talk about. If your last 2 or 3 posts have been cannibalized, you give it time. Sometimes it takes a little while to figure that stuff out. And then the other part that you can do is, let's see, combine the content. And the other branch out, right? So look at closely related products. Think about the audience, Adrian, and other products that people like that might buy. So that is a way to expand as well. All right. And Alwyn, feel free to rephrase your question in a way that where you're not pointing out someone's site. And just a little tip for everyone, I have seen more and more comments on Niche Site Project, which is awesome. Thank you for commenting. However, I would not put your niche site into the website name. It's an internet marketing blog and everyone's like looking around for people's ideas. And it's just like, why just expose it there? The link from my site in the comment is not going to be helpful. So just don't do that. I try and get rid of some of them when I can tell. Sometimes I don't do a good job of that. But anyway, avoid doing that in internet marketing sites. It's just not going to be helpful. All right, Thomas says, do I have a recommended price range for Amazon products? Yeah, about $100. A wide range is really good, but about $100 is, yeah, a good aim. All right. Mad says, does adding a sign, like a dollar sign, into your long tail keyword affect your keyword ranking? Best ballpoint pen for 500. Can you make it $500 instead? Yeah, I think that should be fine. I haven't tested that specifically, but my assumption is Google can kind of figure that out. All right. Dennis says, what are my thoughts on ad-based sites versus Amazon? So you're looking to diversify and not just do Amazon sites, looking to do a Q&A site based on grilling and barbecue. Okay. My thoughts are they could work great. In fact, I think probably next week, I'll be able to share, I guess, some earnings from a friend of mine. He doesn't do much in the Amazon affiliate area, but he's doing really well with ad-based sites. And it's just a different approach. It's one that I've tried a little bit like in the beginning, but then once I started doing well with affiliate sites and affiliate marketing, I stuck with that. Ad sites can be great. So give it a shot. Now, my challenge to you is sure you would slightly diversify your revenue. But if you're still counting on traffic from Google, my argument is that's still pretty close to the main idea. The big flaw, two main downsides to this business model of affiliate marketing in most cases. So I'm going to talk about the one that we're, I guess, most concerned with today in most days. It's traffic from SEO. So most of your traffic's coming from Google. A lot of people are getting, 90, 99% of their traffic from Google. It converts really well. And once you get established, it can be pretty stable. The other side of the coin is the revenue side. So that is Amazon, right? So Amazon can kick you out of the program, right? If you've perhaps broken some rules, maybe you made some mistakes, something like that, something you didn't realize, they can kick you out of the program. Your traffic can go away. Your site could be impacted by an algorithm change. It can be penalized. You can get negative SEO, right? So if you're getting traffic from the SEO, if that goes away, you have an issue. And if the revenue side goes away, you have an issue, right? Problem. So my argument for you, Dennis, is if you're still getting traffic from Google, then maybe that's not diversified enough. It all depends on your risk tolerance and what you're trying to do. Maybe it's fine. Maybe that is like really spreading the risk, but just something to think about. Josh says, I know you do both, but if you had to choose one for the time being for a site, would you publish more content or go build links? Well, I'd probably look at like where the site is lacking and then try and fix it up. So I analyzed someone's site the other day, did a little audit, and they had like very few links, just a handful of backlinks, and it kind of sucked. And the content was pretty good. And I was like, I mean, you need some backlinks, you need something, right? Like do anything for a little while. So I would look where it's lacking and then try and at least get it up to some baseline level. All right. Good questions. Just a reminder, people do check out the podcast. It's really funny this week. So if you follow the link in the description, it's called Survive the 9 to 5 if you just want to search for it. But if you have the opportunity to subscribe and leave a review, that's awesome. In fact, the first person who left a review, I haven't seen him around in a little while, but he left a review on iTunes, unprompted. I didn't ask him to do it or anything like that, but I thought it was so cool. I was like, hey, let's get on the phone and talk for a little while. So we chatted for like 45 minutes and, got to hear what he thought and help him out with some of the stuff he was working on. Not saying I'm going to do that, but if you go out of your way to help me, I'll do the same. All right. One could even say that this is pretty helpful right here. All right. I'm going to go back to the questions that people asked in comments. So if you do have a question, feel free to leave it in the comment of a video and I'll do my best to hunt it down and find it and answer the question. Michael asks, I found some keywords which satisfy the KGR formula. All these 50 keywords are from different niches. Should I build a multi-site with the 50 keywords? Should I find 20 keywords that belong to a single niche? And if I think that building a multi-niche site is okay, then what strategy for on-page and off-page? Further, Michael really wanted the answer to this question. He filled it out in a form. He put it into, I think, somewhere else, and then I got an email on it too. So he really wanted me to answer this question, and it's a good one. So the thing I'll pepper in here is Michael mentioned he's new. This will be his first site. So my recommendation is to not do the multi-site. Is it possible? Sure. Do a lot of sites, other sites do that? Yes. Can you make good money from doing that? Yeah, you can. However, you'll be spread thin. Your site won't really have a cohesive plan, and it's just a bunch of random products. So my recommendation is to find other products that are within the same category. I mean, don't make it too narrow, right? You could focus on some narrow products, but have a overall sort of broad branding. So that's the answer, Michael. If you're new, don't try and do anything too complicated. You're going to make mistakes. And if you have multiple products and you're trying to do a multi-niche site, you're going to make even more mistakes. You won't know where you screwed up, and it's going to take longer. So just focus on one. All right. Udit says, you can't even find a niche to target. Being a newbie, you want something easy to target. You bought a tool to explore more, but you don't have an exploratory mind. 72 hours already searching. All right. So Udit, if you go to, I think it's one of the early links there in the description for the niche site process. And by the way, if I'm missing people's questions, I'm sorry. There's a lot of chatter going on, so it's hard for me to tell. I love the chatter though. It's really good. I think a lot of people are actually answering the questions, so I could ignore it more. But the point is, on the niche site process, there's like 8 parts or so. There's a place where I say, go over to Amazon, try and get some ideas. And what you will find is like a lot of things. Let's say you want to play the guitar. Actually, I'll give a couple analogies here. So let's say you want to play the guitar, but you're not musical. Maybe you haven't. Actually, let's say you can play the piano, but you want to play the guitar now. When you first pick up the guitar, your hands are going to get sore. Your fingers are going to just feel raw. It's going to hurt some. The muscles in your hands won't be strong enough to hold down the strings, and it's just going to be a mess, and it's going to suck. It's not going to sound very good. You may be able to do, hit a couple chords, but it's just not going to be that great. However, when you put more time into it, you get better. The muscles build up, those calluses form on your hand, and then you're able to play the guitar, and maybe it even sounds good, right? But it takes time. So maybe you don't have the mind for it yet, but you'll develop it. And then the other analogy I'll give is brewing beer. So I'm just talking about my hobbies here. And I've been brewing more beer. In fact, I have about 20 gallons fermenting in the other room right now. I'm going to keg some of it later today. But the point is, when I first started brewing, I was, with some of my friends. We didn't know what we were doing. It was a total mess. There was a boil over, got my kitchen all dirty at the time. And the beer wasn't that good. We did a lot of stuff like just incorrectly. And we still got beer at the end of the day. And, we enjoyed the process. In fact, we brewed a lot more beer, and all the guys that I started brewing with, we still brew now, right? It's been 11 years. We all still brew. So we were bad at it at first, but now we all have kegerators. We can brew really good beer. And I think all of us have like brewed beer for a wedding. Like I brewed all the beer for my sister's wedding. So that's pretty cool. Now, the point overall is if you're just getting started, it's going to be hard and it's going to take some time to develop the skills, and it's completely normal. Next. Oh, Adrian says, one-on-one coaching is really good with me. You wouldn't recommend it if you have zero experience. Better join the course, and then you'll have the inner circle sessions. Cool. That is a good point too. I have a course called 5-Figure Niche Site, which enrollment is kind of rolling and open depending on where you are in the funnel. So that is deep inside my business, but I'm trying to allow people to enroll at any time. Okay. Okay, couple questions that were sent in. Jim Kernicki says, I'm having a problem with keywords everywhere in the all in title search. It returns search for a few phrases, but now it's returning 0, including phrases where you got numbers earlier. You did some captchas from Google, and then after that, you got zeros. Is there a problem with keywords everywhere, or is Google blocking it? So in most cases, if someone has a question about a specific tool, the answer is I don't know. What I can tell you is maybe restart your browser, clear your cache, maybe turn off your computer, pet it a little bit, let it know it's doing a good job. And then you can turn it back on after it's rested a little bit and then see if it works. But frankly, I have no idea. What you described seems unusual, but every now and then with all these interfacing systems, some issues can happen. So oftentimes if you wait, come back a couple hours later, you'll be all right. And you don't have to pet your computer, but only if you want to. It's not going to hurt anything in most cases. Newman, who's on, says, do we need to change the search volume? I think you mean locality from global to the US in keywords everywhere or other tools. So you should change your tool to whatever you're targeting. So most people are going to target the US. But if you're targeting another locality, then you put that one in. If you are for some reason targeting global, then you do that, of course. In general, change it to the US if you're targeting the US. Okay. Next, we have really good job in the chat, everyone. Thanks for all the people that are answering questions, being helpful, getting to the answers to questions before I do. 10 hot deals. What are the ideal conditions for keywords to rank in the SERP? You mean like core results having the more opportunity? So is there any other tips you could share with us? You know what? I don't actually know what you mean exactly. So what are the ideal conditions for any keywords to rank? I mean, this the reason I can answer questions that are unclear, but the answers are less helpful. So I'm just going to blast through it and say low competition and really good content, and then you'll rank in the SERPs. Having links is great as well. If you, those are sort of like the three thumb screws you could adjust, and if you do better on all of those, then you're going to rank. And you're saying like Quora is having more opportunity. I don't know what that means. Yeah, I don't know. All right. And Tammy says Rehub has a learning curve, but it's worth it. You're not techie and you figured it out. So if you could do it, anyone can. Okay. Josh says, any experience with onlinejobs.ph? You've heard good things, perhaps better than Upwork and more affordable, according to many, but you haven't pulled the trigger to hire a writer. I don't know. I haven't used it at all, but I think you're right. The only way to actually like know if it's any good for you is to test it personally. Okay, so hi everyone says your competitor is ranking for 1,000 searches per month, keyword, and there's a lot of blog comments. How could you beat her? So again, I'll refer back to you guys make my job easy, or Google does, or something. So you write better content, and then get more links, and then that'll probably be like the best route. And it may not be exactly the thing that'll push you over your competitor, but once you get started, you'll see like where else you may need to adjust. And as Adrian mentioned, I would say you can get better links. Like you don't have to get, if your route is to like get blog comments, then you need to do more. But you could probably outrank that person with fewer links if you do guest posts, like a handful of them. Ray says you have 5 websites that accepted your guest posts. Should you link to your homepage or specific blog posts? That is a frequently asked question, Ray. So I'll point you towards the frequently asked questions link. But the answer is both. You want links to both generally. Hi, everyone says, what's more creative? A skyscraper then doing outreach. So the skyscraper technique and then interlinking to your money post and doing outreach, or doing a few do follow backlinks directly to the money post. I haven't done like a direct test, but probably in general, the do follow links to the money post are going to be like more direct. But my recommendation is to do a combination of the two. It's going to look more natural. Okay. Josh says, you'd like to hire an overseas editor who can format, create, and publish. What's fair compensation? Depends on where you're hiring them from. And how do you pay? Flat rate or hourly rate? Okay. Josh, you should probably hire me for a coaching session. You usually have like pretty specific questions. And I think maybe you just need like reassurance to try this stuff. So, Josh, what's fair compensation? Depends on the country, and it depends on what you want them to do and how good of a job you want them to do. You can structure it however you want. You're the boss, so you could do whatever you want. You do a flat rate, you do hourly, it doesn't matter. Okay, Duke's on. What's up? Good to have you on. For an editor, and actually, Josh, let me give you slightly more helpful advice. If you're doing something that takes a variable amount of time, like the stuff that you described, then hourly is probably more fair because it's variable, right? You don't want to try and like take advantage of people and pay them, try and trick them into like a flat rate when you know it's going to be a variable amount of time. Duke backs me up and says multiple niche sites are harder to rank and you wouldn't recommend it for a newbie. Yes. Indeed, indeed. Oh, and Marty, congrats. He just hit $1,000 per month this week. So in the last 30 days, he's like made $1,000, which is awesome because I just interviewed him like a few weeks ago. There's a description or there's a link. I think maybe in the description, but if you search for Marty on my channel, you should be able to find it. So it was only like a few weeks ago. He was at $500 for the previous 30 days. So do check out his interview. Thanks, Marty, for sharing and congratulations. Bob, what's up? 2 years ago, you wrote 30 articles targeting some big keywords. Needless to say, they're on page 9. Can you change the articles to go after KGR terms instead? Yes. Yes, you can. Hi, everyone. Does the Google sandbox period end overnight and then suddenly your keywords are on top? I have seen stuff like that happen, but usually, like, here's the deal. If you're ranking like on, like, I don't know, on page 8 and 9, and you've been there for 5 months or 6 months or whatever, and then you flip over out of the sandbox, you're probably not going to go to like number 1. But if you started at like 15th and you've slowly been moving up, then it could be that you move up a few more positions after the 6-month period. So basically, the more work, the higher quality of everything, like the more it'll go up. Okay. Next, we have Adrian says, thanks for the answer. You'd love to know more about how to do a podcast, like the tools and software, any tips. So I already had like a few like pretty good mics, which I could sort of scoot this one over here. And this is an Audux i5, and I've had it for a few years. It's a dynamic mic, and I think it's a cardioid pickup pattern. So even if it's like a little noisy outside, generally it just picks up from like right in the front, so that's good. And then you have the I think it's the pop guard or whatever it is, so this is helpful as well. And then just in general, I've been using GarageBand to do the capturing of the audio, and then there's a couple other setup things that I had to do, but we have 2 mics and the other one's kind of over there, but the other one's an ATR 2100, which is like USB based. You could just plug it in. It's a little bit smaller for me to carry around if I'm traveling or something like that. So we have 2 mics. And then the other part, my wife does the audio editing, and she's a Windows user. I'm a Mac user, so she's a Windows user. So she found some software that she could do the editing on. So generally, that's like pretty much all you need. I use Blueberry for hosting, and I think like the basic starter package is like $12 a month, and I think I'm going to step it up to $20 a month so we could publish like 4 times, like once a week. Right. So that is about it. And the hardest part, I mean, is to get started. The first episodes, which Adrian, I think you've listened to a couple, like the first few episodes, you're going to be nervous and just you won't be able to talk as much. I've done a lot of talking, but still when you're recording it in like a different format and stuff, like you're not talking as freely. So it'll be a little rough. And then I think when we recorded like 2 episodes last week, and I was just talking more freely, and it was a little bit more smooth, I think. Okay. Oh, and Duke is reminding people to hit the like button. So I haven't said it at all, and it's reflected at the poor 16 likes that we have. I think I've answered at least 16 or more questions. So if you find this helpful, hit the like button. Thanks. All right, I'm going to hop back. Maggie says, and this is a question that was left in a comment, so do leave a comment if you have a question. You mentioned when using the Yoast SEO tool, be careful not the keyword stuff, and it resonates with me. you're trying to find that line. Your question is, when you have a long tail keyword, do you need to stay with the exact phrase, or can you mix it up a little while trying to keep most of the keywords together so it's not obvious? Basically, mix it up, write naturally. Don't try and like use the keyword a bunch. And for people that don't know, I've mentioned this a couple times in other videos, other Q&As, the Yoast SEO tool is good for a general blogger. But if you're watching this, if you're doing advanced keyword research, then the Yoast SEO tool is not that helpful. You'll try to get all the green lights or whatever it is, and then you'll be using your keyword way too often, and you're never going to rank. And you wouldn't know that, right? Because you're trying to, do the best practices. Everyone says use Yoast, and meanwhile, it's like leading you astray, telling you to use a keyword like 15 times or something like that. I don't even know. I ignore it. The thing is, Yoast has some good tools built in that you can use, like editing the HT access file, right? So that's helpful. Or you can no index certain pages and archives, and that stuff's helpful as well. So SEO, or the Yoast SEO plugin is helpful, but not for the reasons that you think. And let's see. So we got 3 more likes. So, we do what we can, but I thought of another thing. So, and if I think I may be able to get it out next week, but it may be the following one. But I'm doing a series on side hustle. So I talked to a couple interesting people. If you're here often, you've heard me mention it, but I do want to let people know that it'll be like interview style, and it's like people outside our sphere of affiliate marketing. I find that what happens is, in fact, it actually gets a little bit boring, to be honest with you, but we're interested in Amazon affiliate marketing or niche sites or something around that area. And there are some big blogs in those areas, big content creators in various channels, podcast, YouTube, blogs, whatever. And we hear the same stuff over and over again. So I'm trying to go a little bit outside what we're talking about. So we're looking at like Instagram marketing. We're looking at creating courses. We're looking at reselling and taking advantage of retail arbitrage. I'm talking to people like Nick Loper, Side Hustle Nation, where he's done a bunch of different side hustles and talked to hundreds of different side hustlers. So that'll be an exciting one, and hopefully like we'll get some other interesting topics along the way. So all right. Josh says, you have one article that dominates for multiple keywords, and you wrote it where you inserted the related keywords in it. Would like to get my strategy on that. Well, it sounds like, can you rephrase that? It sounds like you described your strategy, so I don't need to. So if that works for you, then do it. All right. And then hi, everyone says you're doing email outreach to get guest posts, but you're not getting them. Any tips? I would say make sure you have like spent time building the relationship. If you're sending cold emails, then it's probably not going to work. In fact, if I get a lot of emails, both Niche Site Project, all my niche sites, and I get so many of them, I literally just mark them as spam. If I don't know who they are, I mark them as spam. And I mean, it's going to be before too long. Like that stuff is just not going to work that well. Now, I know it still can work. Otherwise, no one would send them. So I know it can work, but it's getting fairly saturated at this point. And like, I have no indication on Niche Site Project, for example, that I want to hear from anyone about them publishing on my site or me otherwise like advertising for them. So, yeah. make sure you're spending the time. And hi, everyone. I recommend you go to the niche site process link, and there's a section on guest posting. So have a look at that. Rohit, what's up? Okay. Udit says you found a keyword with whatever search volume. Should you continue or not? The average price is $90. So, Udit, this is actually, I talk about this in the frequently asked questions section. So here's a tip. If there's any question where it's like, I found a keyword and blah, should I do it? The answer is yes, do it. Here's what'll happen. There's two main things that'll happen. It'll work, and then you'll think, hey, that's awesome. I'm going to do more of that. Or it won't work, and then you know what not to try again. So there you go. Rohit says, do I use Ahrefs? Yes, it is a very good tool. All right. And there's a lot of shout outs for Five Figure Niche Site. I appreciate it, everyone. And there's a lot of success stories. I am confident in the course and the material overall. And by the way, it's a good course if you're just getting started. It starts at the beginning, brainstorming, trying to figure out like what niche you want to approach, doing keyword research, and goes all the way through like expanding your site, scaling it. Working with freelancers, hiring out content, email lists, selling your site, all that stuff. However, it's also very useful if you already have a site going. Usually you'll be able to find tidbits that are helpful. What I see a lot is if you already have a site going, let's say you're making $200 a month, you can take ideas and get a faster ROI because you have a site with traffic already, and you can, fix things that maybe your foundational keyword research wasn't on point. Maybe some of your design wasn't on point, the way you're laying out your reviews, for example. So there are people that maybe you could enroll in the course or get coaching from me, either one, and then fix a couple like easy things, and then you've made your money back like immediately. Okay. Okay. And hi, everyone. I think maybe I didn't answer this question clearly. So hi, everyone is asking what's more powerful, and then laid out two scenarios. The answer is, I don't really know. I think getting direct links to these specific pages is probably going to be like more bang for the buck. However, as Adrian mentioned, it is important to get a handful or a pretty decent amount of branded homepage links. So, your question's interesting, but like the scenarios are not, for us to speculate is useless, because if you have zero links to your site, or if it's a specific niche and you do the same thing multiple times, and you try and test this and recreate it, you may get like 5 different results 5 different times. So for us to speculate on this is kind of a wasted effort. So, all right, Sharon's on. What's up? By the way, if people haven't hit the like button, please do that. We're up to 24, which is really good. Your baseline, this is from Duke. Your baseline for keywords, use it one time in an H2 or H3 tag and once per 1,000 words in the content. But Duke, how many words is it? So let's say it's a 5-word keyword phrase. Would you still use it that many times? And I would say you probably shouldn't. All right, Adrian, heading out. See you later. Kevin's on. How you doing? All right. Hi, everyone. Says, how much does it cost to create a niche site if you outsource everything? I would say you probably need a minimum, if you're going to outsource everything, of like $500 or so. But it could be as much as $50,000, right? So it depends on like what time frame you're talking about and what you're trying to do. So, if you're asking that question, it sounds like you probably haven't outsourced anything. So it's probably going to be a little more difficult to do it, maybe a little more expensive. You'll have some false starts. Your guitar guide says, can you get traffic without blog posts? Yes, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you mean. Do you mean like versus pages, or I don't understand? Shab says, do PBNs work? Yes, they do. That's private blog networks. It's gray hat, but it's a little more risky, but they do work. How much do you pay VAs for blog commenting and email outreach? So it depends, but anywhere between roughly like $10 and $20 an hour. Okay, and then Duke about the keyword density is saying, it's hard to say if you'll use it, but if it fits, you'll go for it. And then the other part is like, if you have a longer keyword phrase, the less you would want to use it. Yep. Cool. So, and Zach, what's up? Good to have you on. Hi, everyone, says, any tips for outsourcing? So, hi, everyone. Go to the frequently asked questions page. Basically, everything you've asked is in there. So, Shab, do social shares help in ranking directly? No, it's indirect. And thanks about the logo. My VA, Mackenzie, worked on it. So obviously it's very simple and straightforward. I think there's something a little lacking. I think we need a tagline in there, but I don't know exactly what we want to do for the tagline yet. Subum says, have I ever used SAP links to rank my site? No. Okay. Family of Geniuses says, should I bother with making a Facebook page? Your target audience is there, but you've had poor results. I would say it's fine to have a Facebook page just to look like you're present on Facebook. But me personally, I think it's a complete waste of time. You're going to have to like run ads and spend a lot of time, and the conversion rate from like Facebook traffic or Pinterest traffic is going to be pretty lousy. So I would recommend not really spending much time on it. So Shab says, do I follow any bloggers or internet marketers from India? No, I don't follow that many people in general. I'm more likely to read blogs from like Ahrefs or SEMrush, for example, that sort of thing. But yeah, I don't. Do you follow anyone? Who do you follow from India? All right, cool. Any other questions? We're kind of coming towards the end of the questions. Things have slowed down a bit. One question that I remember seeing in the comments, but I must have ran out of characters to write more in the description. Basically, someone was asking about like Pinterest traffic and should they be spending time or like what they need to do on Pinterest. They said it looks like they have to keep posting stuff and doing things with Pinterest. So two things here, and one is going to go back to the question earlier about ad-based sites, which I think maybe Dennis asked about that, but I forget. So, okay, two things, actually three. So number one, I don't enjoy social media that much. This YouTube is like the closest thing that I'm doing. I do have an Instagram, but I mainly do that to just waste time and like post pictures of my dog, Georgie the Border Collie. If you're interested, check it out. And because I don't enjoy social media that much, I don't spend time on it. The other part is if you get traffic from Pinterest, for example, we'll use that as the example. If you get traffic from Pinterest and your site is an Amazon affiliate site, it's probably not going to convert all that well. You may get some conversions, but when you compare it to organic traffic, it's going to be like night and day. So for that reason, I don't spend time on Pinterest, just period. And I have no interest in it. The third thing I'll mention, I think that's the third, is Pinterest traffic can be great for an ad type site. So if you have ads on your site and you're getting lots of traffic and you have a system to like, keep publishing new stuff on Pinterest, then you can have like a Pinterest traffic machine, right? And I'm actually an affiliate for a very good course that goes over that material. There's a link in the description, and I'll actually, I think I'll try and paste it for folks here. But there is a Pinterest traffic webinar by a friend of mine over at Fat Stacks blog, and it's John Dykstra. He's focusing on a different area, right? So he doesn't do Amazon affiliate sites. He does ad-based sites, and he gets traffic, or a portion of his traffic, from Pinterest, and it works really well. He has a whole system for it. There's a link in the description. It's a very good course. I've gone through it myself. I didn't implement everything, but I've gone through it to make sure it was high quality. John knows his stuff really well. He's another bald man, so I trust him. All right, I trust him. Now, let me take a look here. So that is my approach and thought on social media. Yes, I probably could, spend more time in certain areas, but I also have to look at the stuff I want to spend time on, what I enjoy. And if I could choose, then I'll avoid the social media side of it. I don't want to do things where, for example, Instagram, like you have to keep doing stuff on Instagram constantly. It's a machine of content, and it's like you have to keep going. Where SEO traffic, or even traffic from YouTube, I could publish a bunch of videos, and over time they will continue to like bring traffic in. People can watch them even if I'm not like publishing something every day. So that's my pitch on it. And if you are interested in other traffic sources, Pinterest traffic specifically, do check out the webinar. It's one of those, and this is one of the areas where I just disclose everything. So I'm an affiliate. It is a free training, right? It's a on-demand webinar. So basically, if you follow the link, you'll be like sent to a landing page where I think you could start watching it like in the next 20 minutes. It's like one of those 15-minute evergreen pre-recorded webinars. And then at the end, you'll have the opportunity to buy the course if you want. And I know a couple of my students have bought the course and they really like it. All right, back to it. Okay. And Shub says, T-Series is soon going to overtake PewDiePie to be the most subscribed channel on YouTube. Your thoughts? I literally have no thoughts. I know the name PewDiePie, but I don't know who T-Series is. And I watch a lot of comedy on YouTube, and I watch a couple like YouTube marketing channels, and I watch like music videos and stuff. So that's kind of my wheelhouse. I don't consume any of that stuff. Duke says Facebook is good for establishing brand presence, and you get a backlink to the homepage. Other than that, don't bother with it. Yes, I agree. Okay. Hi, everyone says, I think we must include main keywords a few times throughout the article, even if it doesn't make sense, because at the end of the day, we're dealing with a bot which works on algorithms, and it must know that it's relevant to the keyword. Okay. And that's fair. I don't necessarily disagree with what you're saying. Hi, everyone. But based on your other questions, I'm taking it as you are restating something that you don't have experience in, which it doesn't make it not true. It's just it's even more valuable if you hear it from like Duke, for example, and he's like, you know what, I do this and it works, and I adjust otherwise. So just quickly point that out, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the questions you asked were new person oriented. Okay. Family of Geniuses says, you're glad to hear people have luck with affiliate sites without social media pushes. You wasted a ton of time on it. Yeah. And see, the thing that's rough is, people like me, right? Marketers are trying to, write interesting, helpful stuff. And sometimes, right, you'll see a case study here. I mean, and I've done this too. So I'm not better than this. You'll see a case study where someone did something one time and they did it like a month ago. So they're like, "Hey, I got, so much traffic from Facebook by doing this. Here's how I did it." Super interesting, but it's like it's a flash in the pan. Maybe it was helpful, maybe it wasn't, maybe it was a total waste of time. And I think I literally have a post that's similar to that where I created some content, ran some ads to it. Maybe I did like a contest or something. I don't quite remember. And I got, a bunch of visitors to the site, say 500 or 600 in a day, additional to a page that had just like shown up. But did that convert to any revenue? No, it's just an exercise in like doing a thing. Now you may be able to use those skills elsewhere. So it wouldn't be like a waste of time. But yeah, if I think like the social media traffic may not be the right kind of traffic for a lot of people. Oh, David says you're trying to promote through YouTube, but when you get in front of the camera, I'm like a a gibbering jelly ant. Any tips? So here, this will make you feel better, David. Once we finish this video, right? You should check out my channel and look at the ones from, let's say, 1 year ago and then 2 and 3 years ago. My channel's been around for a little while, but I didn't get into it much until a year ago. Now, I'm not saying I'm doing a great job now, but if you just look at once I started making a lot of videos and just committed to it, in fact, check out some of my other live streams. Again, not from that long ago. They're just a mess. Camera time, doing it, analyzing where you're publishing or analyze when you publish something, see where you need to improve. I realized that, for example, my editing like sucked at the beginning, but I knew that if I put too much pressure on myself, that I wouldn't even do the videos. So I made a decision to just get the videos out and I could fix up like the editing later. The editing got really good when I stopped doing it and I hired someone that was better than me. So that was helpful. And she does a great job. We have a good workflow. She edits really fast. It looks better than me. It's cheaper than like anything I could do, and she does a better job faster. Further, I still have a lot of filler words and I know them and it's painful and I need to like put a rubber band on my arm and every time I say I need to snap it 5 times. I know I'm saying it and I'm trying to reduce it more. Now live streams are a little more difficult. I have to do 2 or 3 things all at once and then at any given moment Georgie could come up. I don't want to say her name too loud, but Georgie could come up and she's like, "Hey, get the frisbee, man. Like we should go outside." So, anyway, put time into it. Go back to my analogy on like guitar or brewing beer or being in front of the camera. Like almost everything's a skill. And if you put more time into it and you look at it critically and try to improve, you will improve. I also read all the comments, especially in the beginning. I read all the comments, especially the negative ones, right? I try to seek out like critical feedback. It's hard. Most people, right? If you go ask your family or friends and you ask them to tell you about the video, they're going to try and just tell you good stuff. And it's not really helpful. So maybe after some time, they may be able to tell you 1 or 2 things, but it's really good when people don't know who you are and you could actually get feedback from people to tell you you talk too long and your stories suck or whatever, because it's easy to ramble on. It's easy to tell a long story than a concise one. And it's more interesting to hear a concise one, by the way. Okay. So David, I hope that helps, but if it makes you feel better, it will make you feel better. It'll make everyone feel better. Everyone, when we finish the video, go look at some of my older ones, and especially the ones that are like 2, 3 years ago. Because I really wanted to do videos, and man, I really I would have like gotten my shit together and like just shot them and started this like 3 years ago, because it probably would be totally different. I think how good I would be now. So much better than I am. Okay. Okay, and Duke says, I may be right about Amazon affiliate sites not working on Pinterest. You're doing a case study now. You're getting traffic. So far, time on site, page views, and bounce rate are better than Google. So maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Zach said, oh, hi, Zon. What's up? Zach says, you've wasted tons of time on social media, running some ads, paying for Hootsuite, almost no conversions despite lots of clicks. Never again. And the other part is, I think, if you're into it, if you're interested, then it can be worthwhile. And I mean, you could enjoy it. Here's another example for niche side project. For a bit, I was like, I think I had Buffer, and I was posting tweets often, and I tried to, do what we're supposed to do. But when I looked at like the effort that it took to, post the tweets and the amount of traffic that was coming through, it was a total waste of time. And I don't like Twitter that much. So yeah, if you enjoy it, it changes everything. Oh, and this is interesting. So Duke says the half-life of a Pinterest pin is 105 days. On Facebook, it's 90 minutes. So you could set up a week on Pinterest in an hour. So that's useful. Derek, what's up? So Derek is asking, how often do I update established sites with new content? So I don't have a specific schedule. What it usually works out to be is maybe like twice a year, but what I end up doing is, or maybe like once a year, something like that, one or two times a year. I'll neglect it for a long time, like, I don't know, 6 to 9 months, and then I'll go back and then I'll do a whole bunch of work. So like right now, actually we'll go back further. So like 2 years ago, I added, let me think, I had like 200,000 words of content within like 5 months. So 200,000 words of content in 5 months. About a year ago, across a few sites, I think I probably did 450,000 words over 3 months, something like that. A few writers working on it, a couple editors and stuff. And then right now, I'm doing another exercise around 200,000 words again. So sometimes it is updating content, sometimes it's adding new content, and that sort of thing. All right. Jermaine's on. Welcome. You finally caught a live one. Very good. Oh, and Watch says, I think Pinterest traffic is completely dependent on the niche. Some do well and some don't. I believe that. Duke also says most people think of Pinterest as social media, and it's actually a visual search engine, not much social involved. Gotcha. And you know what? I should correct the terms. That is a good point. You know what? And actually, regardless, my wife tells me I'm becoming more of an old man. Like the more I work alone, I think, and not necessarily an old man, just I know what I like. That's how I like to frame it. But yeah, I'm just like, I see Pinterest and I know it could be an opportunity, but I'm not, whether it's social or a search engine or whatever, like I'm not spending time on it. So I don't care much. Now, one interesting thing, I read a lot of books, a lot of fiction, decent amount of nonfiction, but I saw a few of the authors, they create Pinterest boards to like track whatever their novels are. So like as they're writing, they're able to, I don't know, they build it and then people can check it out and kind of follow along with like what they're doing, which is super interesting. I actually need to check that out. So, and yep. And I think Duke is 100% right. I've heard it from a lot of people where people use Pinterest literally as a search engine and it's a visual search engine. Very good way to put it. Hi, everyone says, how much time do I spend working on my sites? Probably maybe a couple hours a week. Roadless Travel says, do I place affiliate links myself into content that I outsource? No, I don't. David says, if I'm promoting a product on YouTube, but you don't have the product, can you use the Amazon image within the video, or would that be against Amazon rules? David, I'm not sure. I don't typically do that with my videos. However, I'll tell you two things. So number one, call up the Amazon Associate Program and just ask them. Ask them if you can do whatever it is you're thinking. The other thing I could tell you is I have seen like bigger bloggers or bigger vloggers, YouTubers, right? They will share their screen and like show the image of the Amazon product and just like pull the full screenshot up. So I have seen that done a lot by very big YouTubers. Okay. Derek says, have I heard any updates on Amazon changing their commission structure again? You've been hearing things, but positive things. No, care to elaborate? Actually, I take that back. Someone asked a question and I didn't think it was so relevant. I haven't heard the rumblings like I heard back in, January, February of 2017. I knew the change was like some change was coming, but I haven't heard anything positive. The only thing in some of the European associate programs, there was a small tweak for some of the categories where they were paying out more. It looked to be mostly like fashion and beauty type products. You could check the what do you call it? The operating agreement and any updates for the respective programs to see that. But I don't envision that being a widespread thing or impacting like other categories. But yeah, what did you hear about it? All right. And then Omar says, what's my opinion about the sandbox period? Is it still alive? The answer is, I think so. And if you want to know more, I suggest you take a look at the frequently asked questions section. And Duke says, yeah, get off my lawn in an old man voice. You're the old man of the group. Yeah. And, you're a good role model, Duke. And if I could take after your old man, sensibilities, that's fine. And do I outsource everything? Yes, generally. Roadless Travel says, how much do I spend on content every month? So referring back to what I told Derek, right? So I don't do like ongoing, like every month content and paying for content and stuff. I do more sprints of work. So to answer your question, how much am I spending every month? Probably on average, a few $100, something like that. Keeping it real says, how do I do logos for my site? I do not. Or if I do, then probably just go to Fiverr and create one, or Canva. Actually, yeah, I have some logos, but yeah, I usually just get some clip art or something like that, or go to Fiverr and have someone do it. All right. And the logo, keeping it real, really doesn't matter. So I wouldn't put too much time or thought into it at all. All right. And thanks for one of the great things with these live sessions, sometimes we get questions that we've heard a lot before. That's okay. We do have the frequently asked questions section. We got our cool folks in the chat, our moderators. Thanks, all moderators, by the way. I really appreciate it. Literally answering questions over there and taking some pressure off. This is cool. But the other part is I don't consume as much as I used to. So the fact that Duke and Derek and other people listen like to the Authority Hacker podcast, and then you could tell me what I need to know, I can just ignore everything. And then when I need to know something, you guys will tell me, I hope. So here's what Duke says. On the Authority Hacker podcast, they mentioned the fee schedule is going to revert back to a pay schedule similar to what it was previously. And I'd be, you know what, I need to check that out. I haven't heard that specifically, but they have enough, irons in the fire and contacts that they may have inside knowledge, like within Amazon and stuff like that. So that would be super cool. That would actually be really super awesome if that happened. And Jermaine says, what would I say is a good CTR on a site and a good conversion rate on Amazon? It depends on variables, but just a rough estimate. I think that is a frequently asked question, but I could be wrong. So click-through rate to Amazon, anywhere from like 25 to 60%. It depends on your traffic. As far as the conversion rate, as reported on Amazon, if it's anywhere between like, say 4.5%, 5%, all the way up to 14%. Mine usually are in the in the 12 range or so, something like that. Around the holidays, it'll go up even higher, some pretty high levels. So it depends on how well targeted your traffic is in general. And Ayush says, what's my opinion on running PPC ads for Amazon niche websites? Generally, unless you're an ad ninja, then you should avoid it. It's really hard to get a positive ROI on that. So if you're just thinking, hey, I'm going to try and do this, it's probably not going to work. The commission rate is pretty low, so it's probably not going to work out for you. If you were a ninja, then you would already know that you should do retargeting, and that could be a nice route to make sure you're like targeting the right people with ads, and that could work. And it looks like we have like a resurgence in the number of people. We have 50 now. If you have the opportunity, hit the thumbs up. And it could be the notifications too. Like, it is unclear how YouTube does that. And thanks, Derek. You said you say the community is awesome. And I think, back to, I believe, David, who was asking about being on YouTube and stuff. I did a lot of these live streams where there were like 1 or 2 people. And it was one of those deals where I made the decision and then the commitment to do the webinars, do live streams, like spend the time. If no one shows up, do it anyway. And you feel a little bit silly, but then over time you become numb to actually doing this. So I used to get so nervous. Now I can drink a beer while I'm doing it, although it's morning time here, not doing that. Even though this is like a beer mug and then I have a koozie on it, but it is just water, trust me. The point is, yeah, I did a bunch of these live streams over time, and for so long, very few people showed up. And the community built just around like me doing this. So appreciate that, Derek. Kevin says you have a new site and you start it up and you move the 8 articles from an old site. The old site wasn't that old. Should you worry about duplicate content? So I would probably like tell Google in the search console that old site no longer exists, and like to de-index those old pages so that the new page will be the only content, and like delete that whole other site. So it should probably be okay, but yeah. Udit says, thanks for the help. You'll update us when you get results. And, Udit, be sure to come back before that. I'm sure you'll have questions, but do let us know how it's going. All right. Duke says, oh, here's another data point. So the CTR to Amazon is 20-ish% and the conversion rate is 7%. And and the thing is, like, data points are all over the place. So it's a huge range, depends on the kind of traffic and all that stuff. And keep in mind, Duke is probably also getting traffic from Pinterest as well and other stuff. And Road Less Travels says, would I ever go back to a 9-to-5 job? For a long time, I would have just said no, absolutely not. But if it was a good opportunity and I liked the people that I was working with, then potentially. Now, I will tell you, I would have to have a real attitude adjustment, because if you listen to Survive the 9-to-5 podcast, I think a lot of myself at this point. I just got to be honest with you. It's really nice to be able to think about something, make a decision, maybe talk to some of my peers and friends, get some input, and then do it, versus when you're working at a 9-to-5, a corporate situation, for example. You may have people that are just, they don't want to change. They don't want to test things. They want to stick with the status quo, and is very stagnant. It sucks. So there's a lot of stuff that's like that, where it's nice if you could just make a decision and then do it. You can actually, here's a story. Let me just take a look at the chat here. All right. So here's an interesting thing. So I used to have a guest posting service. It was shortly after I got laid off. By the way, if people are new to the channel, I got laid off in 2015, but I had this side hustle that I was doing, these Amazon affiliate sites that I was working on. And part of the skill that I had was doing guest posting. So back in 2015, like right when I got laid off, I realized that even then there was a pretty big demand for guest posting. So I started a service. I did that probably for maybe 7 or 8 months. Is that long? I don't remember. So I did it for a while. But the cool thing is, I read the book by, I think, Dan Norris, The 7-Day Startup. And he outlines how you could, launch a service-based business in 7 days. And that's what I did, basically. Now, I had the advantage that I had an audience already at Niche Site Project, though it wasn't big. Few thousand people on the email list, which means a few hundred open the emails. Basically, I was able to come up with the idea, get a skeleton offer in place, and then send it out. Try and get some early customers, get on Skype calls, talk to people, find out what was going on. The point being, if you're working for yourself, you literally can come up with an idea, implement it, and then adjust along the way. Turns out I didn't want to do client work. I didn't like the service-based model. And if it was successful, I thought, what's it going to look like in, say, a year or 18 months? And it would be several people working for me, maybe a couple managers, and maybe like an account manager, and basically a hierarchy. I would have literally created my old job. So I decided I didn't want to do it anymore. Anyway, would I go back to a 9-to-5? If things were cool and it was something I was interested in and I liked the people, then maybe. But generally, no. Generally, probably not. Okay. Tammy says, awesome session. Thank you. Hi, everyone says, what's my ROI? I'm not sure the reference point that you're talking about, so I don't know. And I'm not a very good, I'm good at math, but I'm not a financial wizard. And the interesting thing is, I didn't track it well enough at the beginning to be able to see the full ROI. Now I could go back and extrapolate, but the part that's cool is let's say I invested, I'm just going to make up numbers. Let's say I invested $10,000 in content over like 2 years a while back. All right. That content is still earning money and it's earning more and more. So there's a couple things that would make it a little harder to calculate. It's like when I invested certain amounts, because it wouldn't be 10,000 all in one day. It would be 10,000 over the course of like, I don't know, say a year. Then as time goes on, the site is earning more and more. If you're looking at a cash flow basis, then it would be one ROI. I'm sure there's names for all this stuff, but I don't know since I don't have a accounting background. So there would be names for all these little pieces, but or if you're looking at the ROI based on the valuation, well, that would be totally different. So the answer is I don't know. Okay, and then P says, I'm tired of posting content. You want to try something new? I say get some backlinks, do some guest posting. And Duke just sold $2,500 worth of musical instruments. That's awesome. Very cool. Oh, Brian's on. What's going on? And actually, I think we have like a few people who are in mastermind groups and stuff. So feel free to write about mastermind groups. And if you like mastermind groups and stuff, what you got out of mastermind groups. I'm a fan of them myself. Omar says, what's my opinion on the for sale phrase keywords? I don't like them for affiliate marketing. Brian says, how effective is new link placement on an old post from other sites? How does it compare with having a new guest post on the same site instead? I don't know. So I've never done like a head-to-head comparison or done like any sort of real testing. And I think once you would do it, you couldn't actually test it. So you would have to test like similar size. So again, another answer of like, I don't know. In general, right? Here's the theory. If you can get a link from a post that's already published and maybe already has some backlinks, that should, in theory, be better than getting a link from a brand new post that has no links. So if you can land one on like a resource page, or if you can land one on a post that's already there, that's probably going to have more authority behind it. And that is all just based on conjecture. Can we use drop shipping on a high traffic affiliate site? Yes, you can. Alwyn says, should a button link to Amazon be no follow? Technically, but it is fine if you don't no follow all your links. And that's my own opinion. My assumption is Google knows what an affiliate link is, and they don't necessarily treat it as a follow. Hi, everyone says, is including YouTube video in a review a good idea? Yes. And okay, so hi, everyone. Please, and hi, everyone is the person's name, by the way. So go to the frequently asked questions page and then read that. I can't encourage you to do that enough. All right. And Steve says, I'm an animal. I'm still going. That's right. I had just enough coffee. All right. I think I'm trying to remember if there were any other minorly interesting stories that I was going to tell. I guess as a, just completely unrelated. I launched my productivity course last week, had a handful of people sign up. So thanks a lot for anyone that did sign up. And hopefully you're going through the course and being more productive and everything. And right now enrollment isn't open, but I'll probably open it up once I get a little more feedback. The idea here is, constant improvement. So I'm not assuming that when I do something that it's 100% right or even half right. I want to publish something, like see what happens, get feedback from people, and then I can adjust from there. So that is what I'm doing with the course. In fact, this is the third time that I've launched it. So at that point, it's getting better and better. I'm hopefully fixing the issues, and hopefully it's helpful. Okay. All right. And then viral rings, you know, for some reason you just caught me at the wrong time. So you're out. Sorry, buddy. Okay. How do you know if a site is genuine or PBN? Usually you could just look at it and you'll have a pretty good idea. If there are a bunch of links to affiliate sites with keyword rich anchor text, then it's probably a PBN. So usually it's really easy to see. So Duke further says you could check out the similar web, or there's a lot of other tools to see if it's getting search traffic. If it's getting like no search traffic, that could be a sign that it's a PBN. However, I will say that there are some sites that they are not focused on search traffic or keywords or anything. They're just writing, maybe they're actually like writing good content. So if you look at that and you could tell that it's sort of real, then it's pretty obvious. Yep. And Jermaine says spotting PBNs is an acquired skill. Usually they have strange anchors and full post on the homepage. Yep. Usually full post on the homepage, and almost 100% of the time they'll have just multiple links to several other affiliate sites. Okay, I think we're good here. And thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend. Don't forget, please check out the Survive the 9 to 5 podcast. There's a link in the description. Again, it's a funny episode. I tell a story where I was just silly. So I see one more question. Savory says, any suggestions to avoid link hijacking with affiliate links? And you know what? I don't know what that is, so I don't have any suggestions. But if people in the chat or the comments do, then feel free to write it up. All right, cool. I'm out of here, and we'll catch you next week. Thanks.